everyone, and welcome to From Moment to Movement. I'm your host, Tamara Banks. I'm really excited to host this program. I'm excited, and yet there's a little bit of angst, I think, in that we're going to hear some really raw conversation, which is very much needed. And when I think about myself in this moment in time as a reporter, as a Black woman covering this space right now, I think of my predecessors, Black men and women who were reporters in the 60s during the civil rights movement and what they went through in terms of being tear gassed and police dogs being chased on them, and the bravery and the courage that it took to be out there on the front lines. And I never in my wildest dreams, when I was a cub reporter, or even before that, when I aspired to be a reporter as a little girl, did I ever think that in the 21st century, we would be facing the same types of attacks by law enforcement. So it's really strange kind of to be in this space. And as I think of all the interviews I've been doing and people I've been talking to and watching the videos of unarmed Black men and women being brutally killed by police officers, I almost don't want to watch too much for fear of the emotion rising up in me, because what would I do with that? I'm supposed to be the one on the front lines and grounded and listening and empathetic, but not overly emotional. And so that's one of these days that'll be tapped into, and we'll see the floodworks maybe of tears come out. So kind of holding that in check while I'm listening to people's experiences and stories is a really sometimes difficult place to be in. But I'm truly honored to be in this space. And I've been hearing more about news organizations around the country who are taking off their Black reporters off of covering the demonstrations and the protests and the riots because their news management is telling them they couldn't be unbiased covering it, which I just find fascinating, because that they couldn't be unbiased and they might not be objective. You know, I've said this before when I speak about President Donald Trump and I'm reporting on him, I speak of him in the office with the utmost respect. With that said, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. If you are unsympathetic at best to people who are innocently killed because they had a headlight out, or they didn't dim their lights, or they didn't obey the white police officer, that's a problem. And if you're not a racist, you have little compassion for human beings. So I think it's our jobs as reporters to call that out. That doesn't make us biased. That's just the way we see it. And to that point, when young people often are asking me advice, I tell them, yes, if you want to be a reporter, that's great. If you want to be in the field as a photographer, that's awesome. But think about being in the boardroom where those decisions are made about how the news is covered, how the stories are told. Because while you can be unbiased, we're still human beings. And so my lens as a Black woman, a light-skinned Black woman, as a matter of fact, will be different from a white reporter. So to have that diversity in newsrooms doesn't just mean on the streets, but it means in the decision-making positions. So I'm really excited to hear everybody's story and to think about where we can take this moment and make it a movement. And what I've heard so far is fascinating to me. The sisters that I'm hearing from are together, and they are, I think because women are so used to talking what is it like? We need to say 10,000 words a day. I think it's a lot more than that, but women are used to being verbal, even people who aren't necessarily outgoing. Women are used to speaking and about their feelings, but men aren't. And what I'm learning when I'm speaking to the Black men is that they trust this space to have this conversation, which is awesome. And they are very candid to the point where they become emotional. And I know that we need to do some healing in this community. And what that looks like and how it starts, I don't know. But we have to, especially our Black men, we have to figure out a way to embrace them and find a safe space for them to be able to talk and be heard. And I think this is going to be that place to at least to start. So I'm super excited about this program. And I'm excited and really anxious to hear what everybody has to say and where we move forward from here.
Tamara, if I could ask you a question, why does this feel different? I mean, you as a reporter have covered, unfortunately, probably countless police brutality incidents. Why is this situation different?
This feels different. And the reason it feels different is because it's still at the top of the news cycle. Even on different networks, from CNN and MSNBC to Fox News and everything in between. Of course, we're still in a pandemic with the coronavirus, and that is taking, sometimes it's the lead story right now, but it is often in the second block. It's the second story after the first commercial. So this is what makes it different. And the fact that international communities are joining us, not just saying that the brutal killing of George Floyd was unacceptable, but that their own racial issues in their country is no longer acceptable. So it's this global wave. And when you have the United Nations, the chief of the Human Rights Division with the United Nations say, calling us out, calling the US out, that's unheard of. And so that's what makes it different, is that it's not the same old 1 day, 2 day, 3 day cycle. We're well into several weeks of this now. And that's what truly is interesting. And that's what I think is the movement has begun.
And just one last thing, if there, we're asking everyone this question, but from you, if there's something that you want people to hear, what would that be?
What I would like people to do is to realize that not everybody is like you, and that's okay. And so since not everybody is like you, try to, at least if you can't see it from their point of view, try to understand that they don't have the same experience as you. You know, I have a really good friend, a number of really good white friends who weren't raised rich and, working class families. And they often say to me, but we struggled too. And my parents were blue collar workers. And so we were able to make it. And, but it's not the same experience, because you don't have to justify your existence in a clothing store or looking for a car or trying to buy a house. You don't have to justify whether or not you can afford to get a drink, top shelf alcohol at a nice restaurant. You don't have those. So no, it's not the same experience. There's an interesting study that was translated into a video not too long ago where they probably had, I don't know, let's say 100 people, somewhere between 75 and 100 people kind of lined up on a starting line, all diverse backgrounds. And the moderator said, okay, for everybody who has had both parents throughout your entire childhood, and take a step forward. For those of you who were raised with a certain income level, take a step forward. So what you started to see was those who were taking a step forward and advancing were white people, and those who were not advancing, staying in the same place, were Black and brown people. And so that really captured um, the realities of where this country is. And so no one is saying that every white person is racist. But what the Black community in particular is saying is, yes, these things happen. They happen to me, my brother, my husband, my cousins. I do not know one Black man in my life who has not been stopped and harassed for no reason, no justifiable legal reason, by police officers. I do not know one. So I would like everyone, the mainstream community, to understand that there is a difference in how you're treated based on the color of your skin and your gender.